Wicked has been one of the hottest topics of 2024 for sure. I mean, from the songs to the interviews and set romances, everything has been pretty loud. But well, you know what? The excitement isn't slowing down anytime soon. As you already probably know, Wicked Part 2 will happen and hopefully it will be just as magical. At this point, just like many of you guys, I can't wait for what's to come. Today, that's why I'm here to share the excitement and talk about every single detail I could find about Part 2, so if you're ready, let's dive in. First, let me explain why we'll have a Part 2 in the first place, because when fans learned that the movie was split into two parts, they were a bit surprised. The director of the movie, John M. Chu, explained that while working on Wicked, they realized that it's impossible to tell the story properly with a single movie. Apparently, they tried to cut the songs, trim the characters, but eventually realized that these decisions were actually fatal compromises. John felt that splitting the story into two parts was the only way to truly do it justice, leading to the creation of Part 2. He says, and I quote, "With more space, we can tell the story of Wicked as it was meant to be told while bringing even more depth and surprise to the journeys of these beloved characters." I personally would hate to see them butchering the songs and the movie itself just to tell everything that needs to be told in a single movie. That's why I highly support this idea, but what do you think? Do you believe it's a good idea or not? Now that the reason behind Part 2 is out of our way, let's focus on the new updates and what will happen in Part 2, shall we? Until very recently, the movie's title was still up in the air, but on December 17, Wicked's Instagram page finally revealed it to fans with this video. Well, if you had no idea about the release date, the video also reveals it. It's official, guys. Wicked for Good will arrive on November 21, 2025. Here's a fun fact: the movie's title comes from the final duet between Elphaba and Glinda, where they sing about how much they've changed each other's lives. Oh, how I love such details in movies. Alright, it's time to talk about the plot and the spoilers. As you probably already know, the first movie was good at sticking to the Broadway musical, and the upcoming movie will serve as Act 2. As we know what happens in the musical, it's not that difficult to discuss what will happen in For Good. First things first, we'll definitely have something darker than the first movie, since Glinda and Elphaba will become political foes. John says if Part 1 is about choices, Part 2 is about consequences. Choices are difficult to make, and sometimes the result isn't what you expect it to be. It can be lonely, it can be hard. Glinda believes that by working within the system, she can actually make a difference. Elphaba, on the other hand, refuses to be an accomplice and runs away. That's the choice they made, and there will be consequences for sure. Now, Glinda will have a new name, Glinda the Good. Elphaba, well, she becomes the Wicked Witch of the West in the public eye. But is she really wicked? I highly doubt it. In For Good, Elphaba is out there helping the talking animals, and Glinda joins the wizard's administration. Madame Morrible, who's been responsible for the cruelty towards animals, announces Glinda and Fiero's engagement, even though they're definitely not. Elphaba, meanwhile, heads to the Emerald City, hoping to get her father's support in standing up to the wizard. But things take an unexpected turn. She finds out her father has passed away and her sister Nessa has taken over as the governor of Munchkinland. To make things worse, Bok becomes the Tin Man and Nessa refuses to help Elphaba. As if these aren't enough, Elphaba ends up getting caught by the wizard, Fiero, and Glinda. I know it sounds pretty bad, but don't worry, because Fiero helps Elphaba escape and runs away with her, leaving Glinda behind. Glinda gets a bit angry and suggests Madame Morrible spread a rumor about Nessa's safety to lure in Elphaba. Yes, it's the Glinda the Good we're talking about. What do you think happens next? Madame Morrible likes this idea, and instead of spreading a rumor, she actually kills Nessa. How, you may ask? Well, she has Dorothy's house fall on her during a tornado. Yes, the Dorothy. This incident later sparks a conflict between Elphaba and Dorothy over the magical shoes Elphaba gave Nessa, since Dorothy has them now. Unfortunately, Madame Morrible's plan works and Elphaba goes to see what happened. As Wizard's guards try to capture Elphaba, Fiyero comes to the rescue and she manages to run away. Fiyero, well, he gets caught by the guards. The drama never ends. Elphaba tries to cast a protection spell to save Fiyero, but guess what? She still cannot use her magic powers properly, so this spell turns Fiyero into a scarecrow. Like, I feel really sorry for Fiyero. All he wanted was to save Elphaba, and look where he is now. At the end of the story, Elphaba fakes her own death with the help of Dorothy, and Glinda realizes that the wizard is Elphaba's father. As Glinda gets Madame Morrible arrested for everything she's done, she also kicks the wizard out of Oz and takes control of the land. Fiyero and Elphaba, they leave Oz together to live their own life away from all the hate. I'm really curious about how these incidents will take place in the movie. We already embraced Ariana as Glinda, Cynthia as Elphaba, and Jonathan as Fiyero. Watching the story with these big names has been an incredible experience. Even though we know what will happen next, I can't help but get excited to see more of their performances, you know? Also, the movie might offer us a different ending just to surprise us. Who knows? Maybe we can see Glinda being aware of Elphaba's plan about faking her own death and actually becoming the one who helps her, replacing Dorothy's addition to the story. Do you think the movie's ending will be the same as the Broadway musical or not? Let me know what you think. In the Wicked for Good trailer, I'm expecting to see Glinda and Elphaba turning into enemies, with their friendship falling apart. There'll be some emotional moments as they deal with their choices, and we'll see more of Elphaba's relationship with Fiyero. At least, that's what I want to see. Also, I hope to see a few new songs in the trailer, but what about you? Wicked Part 1 has been a massive success, there's no doubt about it. The movie had the biggest domestic and global opening for a movie based on a Broadway show, plus both Ariana and Cynthia were nominated for Golden Globes for their performances. But what about Part 2? Can it live up to the high expectations set by its predecessor? We'll see. I'll be right here when it happens, so make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, and watch this video on the screen.